Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Emily Sophia, aka Mighty Sophia, here to break down for you guys to the absolute best of my ability the latest episode of Westworld. We are on Season 1, Episode 8, Trace Decay. So, spoiler alert before I dive into the mad thick of things, as I shall be endeavoring to bear all in this review, and just so you guys are aware, there is a link in the description of this video to a very important channel update video that I just did a few hours ago as of the time that I am filming this review. So if you are curious as to the goings on of my channel and would like a peek behind the curtain of my thoughts and plans and schemes, well, that's your one-way ticket to that side of things. But we are here to once again attempt to grasp even the slightest thread that maybe, just maybe, will begin to unravel the labyrinthian mystery of Westworld. So the reason why this review is up a little bit later than the ones that I have done in the past is because I got caught up reading Reddit threads with people discussing this episode, because generally speaking, you're not going to see a fully fleshed out review that is posted within, say, 15 minutes of the episode airing, you know? Or at least 15 minutes of the episode concluding. And so, I was trying to dig into all the theories, and I seriously feel like Cameron from the beloved classic 80s film, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I feel like that scene where they're at the Art Institute and Cameron is looking at that painting by George Seurat, I think it is. It's a Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grande Jatte. I don't know how to speak French, so that's my best approximation. But anyway, so he's looking at this painting, and it's done in this very pointed style where the closer you look, the less sense you can make of things. And that is personally how I feel after trying to walk through all the theories of how many timelines we're dealing with and who's a host and what characters are other characters. I mean, mainly that's William as the Man in Black. That's a very popular theory, which there are still some adherents to. Others are rejecting it. I legitimately have no clue. But yet I also feel obligated to address those theories because they are so popular and because they are so prevalent, and I think it's totally legit that people are engaging in this kind of dialogue and trying to parse it out. You are a far better person than I am. Your mental faculties are so much sharper. I can't even express to you how mad this is. One of my favorite theories that I read, and which made me crack up, but might also have some legitimacy to it, is the theory that Dolores is Wyatt. Okay? And I mean, I think that there could... I don't even know. I don't even want to touch it. I just want to present it. There's also a theory that Charlotte herself is a host. There's the idea that the Man in Black is a host who is grounded solely by the memories of a preceding individual. Much like how it's speculated that Bernard is grounded by the memories of Arnold, potentially. You see how crazy this stuff can get. And I admire those who really delve into that business, but I am mostly going to deal with what we have seen and learned in this episode. That's probably closer to a surface level compared to some of the super sleuthing that people on the internet have been doing. But again, I think that what's amazing about this show is that it has so many different forms of meaning and complexity and multiplicity for all kinds of people, you know? So I think that some are intimidated by the complexity, and I can completely sympathize with that. But I think there's a way to enjoy it that's also more at face value, and then potentially when things are finally revealed, you can appreciate those surprises. I say enjoy it however you want. Now, this week was pretty revelatory in terms of Maeve and Bernard and the Man in Black's stories, respectively. We also have some really interesting stuff going on with Dolores, which would lead me to believe that there are possibly 3 timelines that we're working with. There is a timeline that has Teddy and the Man in Black in the pursuit of Wyatt. There is the timeline with Dolores, who's with William, and then also Logan in the mix. And then there's also the timeline evidently before the park opened, which is what we're kind of led to believe, or at least I assume maybe we're led to believe by the scene where William and Dolores reach this city, which Dolores initially perceives as this quaint little frontier town where hosts are being trained to dance, and where evidently everybody gets dead, and it looks like maybe they got dead by her hand. There was a little bit of visual trickery, but we see that she even puts a gun to her own head after the bodies start hitting the floor. So anyways, I think it's almost 100% guaranteed that this is all happening at different points in time. Just more evidence to back up that seeming reality. But man, did Maeve really snatch up the pen and start writing her own script, that woman did. And it's very exciting and very scary. We see that she is ultimately cornered by the containment team that is sent to retrieve her and bring her back to behavior for a serious analysis. But yeah, it's incredible to see how she works over her human counterparts to get her way, and then also to see her story juxtaposed with the story of the Man in Black, which he reveals after Teddy knocks him out after they go up against a freaking Minotaur that is evidently associated with Wyatt and company, which was just, oh boy, getting into some serious culty weirdness, and I am excited and afraid. But anyways, that is definitely the meat of the episode, is when we get that back and forth between what happened to Maeve in her previous iteration, in her former build with her daughter and life as a homesteader, and how that is violently disrupted by evidently a man seeking to discover the depths of his own evil. And speaking of another man who is encountering the depths of his own evil, Ford is really putting in some work in the supervillain territory. I have to say, Anthony Hopkins continues to just stun me to itty little bits and pieces. I was really taken by his scenes with Bernard as they're discussing such heady topics as consciousness and reality and humanity and all the topics that have populated this show thus far. But we especially see one side of Ford that is really in action in this episode, Trace Decay, is the way that he uses his amnesia as a weapon, essentially. And he claims to be liberating the hosts and to be taking their suffering away from them, much in the way that, say, the God of the Bible is said to remove suffering, or to, cover the hurts of humankind. There's actually a verse from Deuteronomy, which is a book of the Old Testament in the Bible, that reminds me very much of Ford's actions in this episode, and I've got to share it with y'all you know, regardless of whether or not you have a religious background. Just having the Bible as a text in your mind is really interesting to draw upon. But there's a verse that says, "Now see that I, even I, am He, and there is no God besides me. I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal, nor is there any who can deliver from my hand." So there is this whole "the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away" kind of an attitude that we get from Ford big time in this episode. And it's really, I just love to see Anthony Hopkins talk about the state of being and identity and self. I mean, good God, if that man quit acting to teach philosophy at the collegiate level, I would go back to college, you know. Screw going in for my master's for English. I'm gonna pick up whatever education he's dropping down, because just the way that he delivers these lines and just relishes in his pursuit of absolute dominion he's a force to be reckoned with. He has been since the start, but he gets pretty into it in this episode. And essentially, as Bernard is struggling with his feelings and whether or not they are real or what they mean, what does it mean if things mean anything to him? And of course, he is in the very unique position of, it's much like Maeve. It's almost like he's got two minds trapped in one, and they're kind of at war with each other. This innate understanding of what he is made of, but then not understanding how to deal with the things that normally are associated with being an actual human person, like feeling loss and sadness and confusion and despair, things that are typically foreign concepts to machinery as we tend to conceive it. And it's really, there's a part where Ford says, oh gosh, I thought that I wrote it down. He was oh yeah, this is actually from the beginning of the episode. He's talking about how with Bernard, he wanted to achieve heart. He wanted to achieve a level of feeling that Delos would have abolished or prevented from coming into existence. And yet he says that even deeper than this feeling in the body of Bernard, even deeper and even headier and loftier than that, even more sublime, is the ability to shut it off. And so again, we're kind of confronting this idea of the machines being superior to humans, and yet they're also even more tortured, and in a sense even more human than human, in that they can accurately relive their memories as events happening to them in the present. And that's part of what has made Maeve's awakening such an intense experience for her, and what would lead her to believe that she is caught between worlds, because these things, they are as clear as day. We even see Teddy coming around to the memories of the man in black, dragging Dolores off to the barn at her father's farm, and to the memory of the man in black calling him a loser, you know, when Teddy tries to stick up for Dolores's honor and to protect her. And so they can relive those things so faithfully. But there's also this idea that pain is a humanizing process for the hosts, and that by clinging onto that pain, they are completely on par with humans and with the struggles that they grapple with. And so I I hope what I'm saying is making some level of sense. How Ford essentially, he wants to achieve all these things that are associated with humanity, but also dehumanizes his creations by preventing them from actually living out the consequences of the emotional turmoil that they experience. And that is, of course, how he keeps everything in check. He's able to create and destroy. He's like, look at all of these feelings that I can make you feel, and now I take them away. And it's just so friggin' sadistic. It's unreal. It's unreal. And I love having Ford as a villain and Anthony Hopkins by proxy as a villain because he's so good at it. But anyways, let's talk about Maeve. She certainly goes through the ringer this week, and it's pretty crazy to watch her flex her godlike powers when she is able to manipulate and use the power of suggestion to get her fellow hosts to do whatever she wants. And she's able to make the town marshals shoot each other to pave the way for her friend Hector and his band of bandits. And yeah, so I'm now talking about Maeve, I kind of have to talk about the Man in Black too, because of how their stories intertwine and how she was victimized by the Man in Black, who is trying to understand how it is he could have possibly victimized his own family and cause his wife to commit suicide. Now there's a band of people who are still of the impression that William and the Man in Black are the same person. The idea being that in the future, this is all very speculative, but in the future, it could be that William kills Logan, goes home, marries his wife, who discovers that her brother was killed by him, and then ultimately can't live with that and kills herself, and then the Man in Black comes to Westworld to try to prove his mettle and to see am I that evil? But I don't know. It's if you're just looking at it at face value, it's a moment that's either going to give you a better understanding of the Man in Black, to see him as more sympathetic, but then also he kind of proves his monstrousness anyway, so it's, yeah, I don't know. It's all so tremendously messy. But what's really fascinating is as the Man in Black is recounting this story to Teddy and exposing who he truly is, we see that Maeve is reliving the memories of the Man in Black trying to kill her and killing her daughter. And then she lashes out at the replaced Clementine in the present. And so now that these worlds are colliding, it's creating something completely brand new and unprecedented. Now, what do you guys think of the whole reveal with the Man in Black? Was it everything you'd hoped that it would be, just as crazy and intriguing, or could it possibly have been done better? I know that one complaint that the show gets a lot is that it is very expositional, if that's a word. And that, like, when these big moments are revealed, it's through speech and speech and speech. And I can kind of understand that, but when they want to make things clear, they certainly have a way of doing it that's very unambiguous. But yeah, we also get to see how Maeve is inconsolable in the past after losing her daughter, and how she refuses to respond to commands, and when Ford tries to intervene and wipe her memory, she actually kills herself. And again, it's the idea that pain gives meaning and gives humanity and gives power. I mean, truly, the pain empowers her to break out of her loop and to seize the world for what it truly is. And she wants her actions to have genuine consequence and to not just be a story. But in order to get to that point, she's able to tweak herself such that she can tell those stories. So it's, oh my gosh, it is all so bonkers. And also, a couple of the songs that I noticed in this episode, in case y'all missed it, there was a House of the Rising Sun that was earlier in the episode, and then we also got a little Back to Black by Amy Winehouse. So I picked up on that this time around. I almost always recognize the songs that they do week in and week out, but sometimes the names escape me. So that was kind of fun. But now Dolores, her journey is also taking some serious twists, in that she goes and finds, or at least in her mind's eye, finds this town that appears to be the same location where the hosts are being trained at the very inception of Westworld, and Arnold is continuing to try to get her to remember. And all of this begs the question of where is Arnold? Where is it that he is freaking taking her at this point? Because ultimately she and William land back in the not so good graces of Logan and company, and there's gonna be hell to pay there. But yeah, I was really thinking that her journey was going to intersect with that of Maeve more, but again, probably different timelines, different craziness that I can't even touch. And then we also have, so the aftermath of Teresa's death was very unexpected, because I thought that Ford was going to be creating a host version of her, but nope. They just say, oh, it was an accident. She was trying to smuggle stuff out of the park, and I was a little bit bummed by that. I guess I could kind of understand why they went that route, but, you know, my prediction evidently did not come true, and it was actually a pretty popularly held speculation, but didn't get that this time around. However, we see that Charlotte Hale is still on the warpath to take Ford down ultimately. So she employs Sizemore, whom she is not so saddened to inform he is still small potatoes in this business, working on some freaking cannibal warlord, which he thinks is going to be integral to the new narrative. But actually, it's almost done, so never mind. And now he gets to take Peter Abernathy, or at least the host that was Mr. Abernathy, chock him full of data, and smuggle him out of the park as a person. So best of luck to you, Mr. Lee. I don't know what to think of your situation, but I pity a fool such as you. And so that continues to unfold, people trying and maybe failing to resist Ford's journey towards preeminence, but we'll see if anybody actually makes some serious headway by the time the season ends. And we only have 2 episodes left, which is just bananas in my mind. So I would love to know all of your thoughts. I think we got incredible acting from the actor who plays Bernard, and we also see that he was used to kill Elsie. So that's another mystery solved among many mysteries that are still outstanding, and which I am trying and failing to shed further light on. But yeah, what do you guys think? Just kind of pinballing around here. What do you think of Maeve's mission to command a freaking army of hosts to get herself out? How is that gonna go down? It seems like she's still got a friend and accomplice in Sylvester, well, I knew, or not Sylvester, and Felix. Sylvester is the guy whose neck is friggin' toast and just got slashed in the throat and very haphazardly cauterized right then and there. Don't know what's gonna become of that guy. Don't really care. He's kind of an a-hole. A lot of the human characters in this show are. And one of the few ones who wasn't a total a-hole, Bernard, is not actually human. So we are continuing to make progress and position ourselves toward the reveal of Wyatt, toward whatever showdown that is going to be, and possibly Maeve's showdown as well, and good lord, are we headed places. So I would absolutely love to know your thoughts. Anything that I failed to address, there's so much more I wanted to talk about, but this video is already almost half an hour long, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys to death, and yeah, take care of yourselves, please. And as always, I'll be back before you know it.